Our next guest was every parent's dream, a gifted medical student, top of her class and on her way to becoming a top plastic surgeon. Yumiko Kadota was regularly putting in horrendous hours every week and doing everything asked of her until it all became too much. Her book, Emotional Female, charts her story, and I'm pleased to say Yumiko joins us now from Sydney. Yumiko, a very good morning to you.
Good morning, Michael. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Listen, congratulations. Great book. It's a hard read in many chapters, but before we get to how it unravelled for you, what attracted you to medicine? Why did you want to become a surgeon?
Yeah, I always liked science as a student, and I liked the human aspect of becoming a doctor, being able to help people in healthcare.
So you're clearly a bright student. You finished third in your class in anatomy at the University of New South Wales. All these years of study, you finally enter the public health system. How quickly did it gel for you that, hey, this is not what I want because what's being asked of me is simply impractical and unfair?
It took me a while, actually. I was so enthusiastic as an intern. I was so excited to be there, learning lots of new things. There were lots of little things here and there, little incidents where someone might be, a bit racist or sexist, but I used to brush them off. It was really only right at the end in 2018 when I realised that things were not going to get better, and it was actually a pretty toxic environment that I was working in. So that was 3 years ago.
How many hours on average were you being asked to put in every week, especially towards the end?
Yeah, towards the end it was tough because I was working on a unit where there were only two of us, and because it's a 24-hour service, we had to cover. I was doing 10 24-hour on-call shifts a fortnight, and it doesn't mean that you have to be at the hospital for those full 24 hours, but it does mean that you have to be on standby at all times. So I found that aspect very difficult. There's no kind of rest. I was in a lot of mental unrest during that time, and the days themselves were up to 20 hours long, so pretty long hours.
And even when you were at home, there are times when you really did not need to be contacted. Tell us about this 3 o'clock phone call you got.
Sure. Yeah, so
3 a.m. I should say, yes.
Yeah, 3 a.m. So the title of the book is called Emotional Female, which is something I got called during that phone call. I was on call for emergencies, but I was rung about an appointment booking, so clearly not something urgent. So I had a firm word about that, and the doctor I was speaking to didn't like that and decided to call me an emotional female. How
did you feel when hearing that?
Ironically, it made me even more emotional hearing that. I was, not impressed that such a gendered term was used. I can't imagine any male colleague being called emotional, so that was the thing that really got to me. I knew that it was a sexist thing.
Absolutely shocking. And you've tried to reach out and complain to your seniors, and you were pretty much told, and I'm paraphrasing here, to harden up. And again, how did you react? How did that make you feel?
I think that it's quite common, when people go through a tough time in the past, they think, oh, why should you have it easy? So I could understand where it was coming from, but it was frustrating because I did voice my concerns a number of times. And I guess my main concern was that it was affecting how I was functioning at work and potentially affecting the care that I was giving to patients. I was very worried about that.
Take us through your last day of work. It started with, I guess, a car trip, Yumiko, to the hospital that you'll never forget, no one would ever forget.
Yeah, that was towards the end of work. I lost my fecal continence, and so I was literally sitting in a pile of my own feces and thinking, wow, this is such a low for me, to be a healthy young person, and my basic bodily functions failing was really shocking. That was when I realised that something was terribly wrong. Until that point, I was able to ignore signs of stress, but I guess that was the first time when my physical body gave up.
And you left the health system shortly thereafter. Yeah. Before we leave, I want to ask you about, of course, it's very topical for all the wrong reasons at the moment, the treatment of women. Yes. As a female surgeon, take us through your experiences in general in the time in the public hospital system in New South Wales.
I think the big problem is the lack of visibility of women in surgery. At the moment, there's only 11 or 12% of surgeons being women, and I think that does affect things. And there is a lot of ingrained sexism and misogyny because it is such a male-dominated profession.
Is the issue of horrendous hours and surgeons, particularly young surgeons, young doctors being asked to do too much, still a problem? You clearly have friends still in the system.
Yeah, I still have a lot of friends still in the public health system. It is still a big problem. A lot of doctors are burnt out. There's a lot of poor mental health and even suicides every year of junior doctors. So it's a real tragedy and something that I hope that institutions will take note of.
And your book will go a long way to doing that. So congratulations again. Just before you go, how are you now, Yumiko?
Oh, thanks for asking, Michael. I'm so much better. I have a much more balanced life now. I've left the public health system, but still working as a doctor in the private system. And my health is so much better. It did take a number of years to recover, but I'm much better. Thank you.